What if I told you that a simple cup of tea could help you improve your memory, your digestion, and even protect your heart? Yes, I'm talking about rosemary tea. But be careful. Most people aren't using it the right way. Stay until the end because I'm going to tell you exactly how to make the most of it. The safe doses, its myths, truths, and the surprising results that scientists are already showing. Let me start with a question I'm sure you've asked yourself at some point. What is rosemary tea good for, and how is it actually used? The answer may surprise you. Rosemary has been used for centuries, not only as a seasoning, but as a true natural medicine. And the reasons are many. It works to treat wounds thanks to its enormous antibiotic power. It improves brain and heart function, aids digestion, boosts circulation, and can even help protect your memory. But that's not all. Did you know that in recent years, science has begun investigating rosemary as a possible ally against aging and cancer? And that's no coincidence. Over the last 2 decades, scientific studies on rosemary have increased from only 10 per year to more than 150 annually. They're definitely finding something. Throughout this video, I'm going to guide you through each of the most surprising benefits of rosemary tea, how to prepare it, how to use it safely, and in which cases it can help you. Or if it's really just another myth. Ready to get curious? Because this goes way beyond a simple kitchen seasoning. Let's start with the basics. What makes rosemary so special? The key lies in its components: carnosic acid, certain essential oils, and phenols. These names might sound like chemistry class, but in the body they have 3 main effects: antioxidant power, anti-inflammatory capacity, and antimicrobial activity. In plain words, rosemary helps protect your cells from aging, reduces inflammation, and fights bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Let's continue. Expectations versus reality. Many people think it's only good for flavoring roast meat. But what if I told you it can help prevent hair loss? Or that it's even being studied as a natural option for arthritis and cancer? I'm going to share the data out there and how you should use it to make sure it actually works. First, how do you properly prepare rosemary tea? There are 2 main ways. The classic: add 1 or 2 teaspoons of dried rosemary leaves per cup of boiling water. Let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes, strain, and it's ready. You'll get a reddish infusion with a strong herbal aroma. Another option? Use powdered rosemary. Add it to hot water, stir, and, as before, wait a few minutes before straining. But the trick isn't just in the preparation, it's also in the dose. Later, I'll tell you the exact recommended amount, so you don't exceed safe limits. I'll give you a heads up. Even water in excess can be dangerous. So, stay tuned because this is key. Now let's move on to rosemary's superpowers. Get your expectations ready because what comes next might change your view of this plant. Did you know that rosemary is even used today as a natural food preservative in Europe? This is thanks to its astonishing antioxidant power. If you've ever seen how meat or oil spoil after being stored for a long time, that's because free radicals oxidize fats. Rosemary prevents that from happening. The same thing happens in our bodies. Our organs use oxygen to live, but as a result, they generate toxic substances called free radicals. These radicals damage DNA, destroy cells, and make you age. Here's the key. If the balance between antioxidants and oxidants is lost, the body ages faster and cancer risk goes up. That's why it's so important to consume antioxidants, and rosemary contains some of the most powerful in existence, especially carnosic acid and its phenols. Here's an example of expectations versus reality. Can rosemary really help fight cancer, or is it just a myth? In the lab, scientists put rosemary extracts directly onto cancer cells. The result? In many cases, rosemary blocked the growth of those cells, even the most dangerous kinds, those resistant to common chemotherapies. In experiments with animals, like rats prone to stomach cancer, those that received rosemary extract had fewer tumors. But be careful. So far, this has only been proven in the lab and in animals. Human studies are already underway, and while the findings look very promising, it's not a miracle cure or a substitute for medical treatment. Even so, drinking rosemary tea regularly and in the right dose is a safe way to add antioxidants to your body. And I'll explain the opportunities and precautions that this entails. What about the brain and the heart? Rosemary's antioxidants not only made it famous in the kitchen, but also in natural medicine. In a fascinating study, rats were given water with rosemary extract for several weeks. The result, markers of aging dropped significantly, especially in brain and heart areas. In other words, less oxidative damage to the heart and brain, but the link with the brain goes even further. There are human studies, though still small, showing that people who drink rosemary tea regularly report improvements in memory, mood, and performance on cognitive tests. Myth or reality? The trend seems clear. Rosemary could become the natural ally for those who want to keep their brains young and active. And for the curious, it's also used in aromatherapy. Inhaling the aroma of rosemary promotes concentration and alertness. But don't go yet, because the most unexpected part is still to come. Now let's talk about skin. Surely you've heard that rosemary is good for skincare, but how true is this? We know that the main cause of skin aging is oxidation. Rosemary oil and topical extracts have become popular in homemade treatments for skin, hands, and face. Although strong scientific evidence is still limited, it makes sense from a molecular standpoint. Fewer free radicals, less skin damage. Are you already imagining a world of natural cosmetics? Don't worry, I'll tell you later if it has any contraindications or if it's suitable for everyone. But let's not skip ahead. Because there's one more fundamental function: anti-inflammatory and analgesic effects. Do you have joint pain or suffer from arthritis? Rosemary could help you more than you thought. In animal studies, rosemary extract reduced inflammation and the migration of white blood cells to wounds, which translates to less pain and swelling. There are preliminary studies with people diagnosed with arthritis that show a 40% to 50% reduction in pain after 4 to 6 weeks of taking rosemary extracts. Participants also reported less stiffness and better mobility in their hands. It's not magic, but science in action. Rosemary reduces inflammatory molecules in the affected areas. Of course, human studies are still small, so it doesn't replace traditional medications, but it's a completely natural tool that can help. And speaking of infections, here comes one of the most impressive superpowers of rosemary: its antibiotic and antiviral strength. Can rosemary tea, or essential oil, be used to fight bacteria, fungi, and viruses? The data is clear. Rosemary kills bacteria like Staphylococcus, famous for skin infections, Escherichia coli, known for urinary infections, fungi like Candida, and even certain respiratory viruses. Why does it work? Nature is wise. Plants like rosemary produce these substances to defend themselves from predators and pathogens. And now we are benefiting from that defense mechanism. However, this is mostly proven with topical applications or in the lab, not by drinking it to cure internal infections. That's why I recommend, for minor wounds, you can use rosemary oil, but don't forget to first consult your trusted doctor. Now I want to talk about one of the most popular and requested myths: using rosemary to prevent hair loss. Does rosemary oil really work for alopecia? Studies have compared the regular application of rosemary oil on the scalp to very well-known commercial lotions. The result? After 6 months, those who used rosemary saw a significant decrease in hair loss. It was almost as effective as traditional treatment. But watch out. There wasn't necessarily an increase in the total number of hairs, just less shedding. The important thing is that rosemary moisturizes, helps clean the scalp, and revitalizes hair follicles. And rosemary tea? There isn't strong evidence that drinking it produces the same effect as oils applied directly to the scalp. Stay tuned until the end, because I'll be giving you safety and dosage details shortly, which are key to avoiding unwanted effects. Now, you're probably wondering, if rosemary has so many benefits, can it be dangerous? Are there side effects? Here's my answer. Rosemary is safe in the right doses. But in excess, it can cause symptoms like vomiting or constipation, and in very high doses, much more serious problems like lung or heart issues. So what is the safe amount? Do not exceed 2 or 3 cups of rosemary tea per day. If you use it in powder form, no more than 2 teaspoons daily. For topical use, as in shampoos or oils for the scalp, irritation is uncommon, but if it occurs, stop using it and consult your dermatologist. And as always, if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or have underlying medical conditions, consult your doctor first. And what about using rosemary simply as a seasoning in food? In that case, the doses are so small that there are no reports of adverse effects. For the most curious among you, now I'm going to reveal 2 of the lesser-known and most interesting uses of rosemary: memory and digestion. In aromatherapy studies, smelling small amounts of rosemary essential oil improved the participants' focus, mood, and mental clarity, as well as reducing fatigue. Remember exam periods or those days with lots of mental work? Rosemary could be your new secret hack for staying focused. And for the gastrointestinal system, rosemary has been shown to be an effective aid for indigestion. especially for those who feel that everything upsets their stomach. Both rosemary extracts and powders are officially recommended in some European countries for mild digestive problems. Beyond each isolated benefit, what's interesting about rosemary is that it combines many properties in a single plant: antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antibacterial, improves digestion, protects the brain, and can safeguard your heart. So now that you've made it this far, let me ask you, are you going to keep using rosemary just as a garnish for paella? Or are you going to start taking advantage of its real power in your daily life? Maybe by preparing that delicious 10-minute infusion, adding it to your meals, or even trying a topical natural treatment. In summary, rosemary is not a magic cure, but it is a gift from nature with real, proven, and promising potential. Just keep in mind the dosages and instructions, and never replace your medicines or medical treatments with home remedies. If you want to improve your brain health, your digestion, stay young inside and out, or simply add an extra dose of antioxidants, rosemary tea could be the simple habit that makes the difference. Now I invite you. Are you ready to try it? Do you have any experience with rosemary, a grandma's remedy, or a culinary or beauty secret? Leave your comments, share your story, and let's keep learning together. If you found this video helpful, share it, subscribe. And don't go yet. On my channel, you'll find more information about medicinal plants, healthy living, and natural wellness. I'll leave you with this thought. Sometimes the most powerful answers are in the simplest things, in what grows on our own land, and all it takes is knowing how to make the most of it. Thanks for making it to the end. Give rosemary a chance. Your body and mind will thank you for it. See you in the next video with more secrets from nature for a better life. Bye-bye.